Namo manjo shiri ye, Namo so shiri ye, Namo dama shiri so ha, Namo manjo shiri ye, Namo so shiri ye, Namo dama shiri so ha, Namo manjo shiri ye, Namo so shiri ye, Namo dama shiri so ha. Soge Jonala, Janjo Bando Nandi Gyaltsen Jie, Dagi Chunye Gibe Sonagi, Rola Benje Sange Ruba Jo, Sange Junan Soge Jonala, Janjo Bando Nandi Gyaltsen Jie, Dagi Chunye Gibe Sonagi, Rola Benje Sange Ruba Jo, Sange Junan Soge Jonala, Janjo Bando Nandi Gyaltsen Jie, Dagi Chunye Gibe Sonagi, Rola Benje Sange Ruba Jo, Sange Junan Soge Jonala, Janjo Bando Nani Gyaltsen Jie, Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonagi, Rola Benje Sange Ruba Jo, Sange Junan Soge Jonala, Janjo Bando Nani Gyaltsen Jie, Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonagi, Rola Benje Sange Ruba Jo, Sange Junan Soge Jonala, Janjo Bando Nani Gyaltsen Jie, Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonagi, Rola Benje Sange Ruba Jo, Sange Junan Soge Jonala, Janjo Bando Nani Gyaltsen Jie, Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonagi, Rola Benje Sange Ruba Jo, Sange Junan Soge Jonala, Janjo Bando Nani Gyaltsen Jie, Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonagi, Rola Benje Sange Ruba Jo. Pege Chokshi Meto Changi Rali Shini Te Kembadi Sange Shindo Mide Huwaye Jokin Nanda Shima Chupa Shu Edan Guru Rena Mendala Kandi Adaya.
Atoma Domina is in the Chita Cindy, Mana Chikadin, Chata, Mama Shipa, Chichen, Mashipa, Tangi Chapa, Tinji Mandana, Devan Deja, Lando, Chicken, doing by him, no one. The Katiti German, the Tinji Mandana, Pichi, Pistol for the German, Demba Juji, Demba Davisha, Kedashini, and Shiba.
All sentient beings have been our mothers. All sentient beings have been our mothers for numberless times. They are as kind as our mothers of this life. Even though all kind mothers sentient beings want happiness and do not want even a small suffering, however, due to not knowing the objects of abandonment and adoption properly, they create the karma that bring forth the result of suffering only. In our mind, sincerely generate loving kindness toward all kind mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if all kind mother sentient beings had happiness. May all kind mother sentient beings have happiness. I will cause all kind mother sentient beings to have happiness. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
That is just the one I see it is a town, she goes into the TV show, Tada Jana Chemo, Tawa Chicha, Tawa Dagisha, Didashini, Malama, and Shinji,
Next, we cultivate compassion toward all suffering mother sentient beings, thinking, how nice if 3 doses of all suffering mother sentient beings were free of all adversities. May 3 doses of all suffering mother sentient beings be free of all adversities. I will cause 3 doses of all suffering mother sentient beings to be free of all adversities. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
That is the Gigi Mandana, Quad and so good to only bring gain still up and gain Nerala Post, Nerala project that Dinegas and Antaba to the Sanji Bani, that you got to Sula is an Antaba to the Sanjila Yabi, this and yet Tangi to the Sanji Kumbara, which is Jenny the Toba Shao and the Chinese segment.
Next, we cultivate Bodhichitta. First, we ask ourselves, who should take the responsibility to free all kind mother sentient beings from the sufferings of triloriums and of samsara? I should take the responsibility to free all mother sentient beings from the sufferings of three lower realms and of samsara. However, I do not have the ability to do so now. Only those who have achieved the perfect complete enlightenment have the ability to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all sentient beings, by all means, may I achieve the precious enlightenment.
더 뒤에서 이제 탄지지도 상지지 공부도 봐 샤오 남는 생군도 받더니 랑이 니가 다이지고 몬스도 남바지 주 최단지는 이제 뭐 동반이 랑이 세로 지금 대단히 자주지 랑이 니가 다이지고 도지 다이지고 대 도지 거부 세가 남바지 주서 사투스 이거 지시스 탄지만도 있지야.
Next, we generate all-encompassing yoga mind, that our conventional aspiring bodhichitta, thinking, for the sake of all sentient beings, may I become Buddha. These transform into a perfect mundis at one's heart. Next is our ultimate bodhichitta. That is one's mind becoming one taste with emptiness, in which all phenomena are lacking of inherent existence. That transform into a white five-pronged vajra on top of the mundis.
더 뒤에서 다음보다는 이 지도에 건대야 마두고 이쪽을 동안이 사토스 동반이 주지선 당이.
Next, we meditate on emptiness, that I neither exist intrinsically one with, nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I do not exist intrinsically.
더 뒤에서 먼저 발신 쪽에 두다 땡게 양에 봐 성당이 간다 들으면서 인진다 주진이 계신 된 소리가 다 간다 고선지 최 예바다 상바 공바 그 고선지 그 기샤와 두바디 간다 시제 신지 체도 봐 이제자 당이 상도서 동세 봐야 보지 사다 싶어 좋아 당은 이제 안에 做东西的
Next, to make our class to conjoin with 6 perfections. So now we think about 6 perfections. So first one is the practice of generosity. And practice of generosity is mainly about mind of giving. So for these 2 hours of accumulating roots of virtue, by listening to, by contemplating, and by meditating on Dharma with my 3 doors, I offer these roots of virtue to all sentient beings.
더 뒤에서 수준이 양해라 상황에 당은 진짜 소위 주진이 그런가라 다 리마가 니제도 봐 수준이야 공부인 상반마치 맞아 주진스마다 공세야 상당으로와 다 리마가 니제도 수준이다 공부인에서 상반마치 방은 진짜 그 주진이 그런가라 내 자원의 니제 정도도 뭐죠 상하디 그 소소의 성공지 방도는 약간 수준이 양해 것이야 샤워지 생각을
Next is the practice of morality, and morality is mainly about the mind of abandoning. And for these 2 hours, I'm going to abandon the negativity, the physical and verbal negativities. Not just think about abandoning it, and you commit yourself in abandoning physical and verbal negativities.
That is the saving on this, but it's not. That's saving on the soul. She's in Nigala. That the leader sell up a canny condition by the Tondole. Setuba chicken is not at this under Montubi, and the same Montubi, the saving or the listen of war. That under Tondole, and you see a canny condition and me, tell a donate on the legends and condition unconscious. This saving on his symbol.
Next is the practice of patience, and the nature of patience is not disturbed, of non-disturbance. There is a nature of patience. So for these 2 hours, whatever hardships that my body and my mind experience, I will embrace the hardships. My mind remain undisturbed. That is the nature of patience.
That is another choosing the Rua. She got 20 Rua. That's in the Kanda, was in the choosing Ringala, Niembata, Sambata, Bomba. The chair, the Hajan, Gawa Sambochi, so Gawa the Tua chip, Gawa the Tua chip, and that Madijipa, and 20 too much was checking some or the dish some Amina. That's in the knowledge, she said.
Next is joyous effort. So again, for these 2 hours of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, I'm very fortunate to generate this enthusiasm mind that I'm going to engage in learning this without interruptions.
That is something in Yanisha, Yanis symbol, the Kansan Tansan. Tanga choosing Nigger Gala Kandarwa, Mazo, Jeja, Mazo Karen, see the tank carriage, in a bed, the Kanda Dilla Masama Mata, she Kanda, Noneta, she develops the Maya Watamando. Tanando, the Naya Watamando, Lonzi Dilla, the same thing, Dikanda, simple Dilla. Next
is the practice of meditative concentration. So again, for these 2 hours, I'm going to focus my mind on listening, contemplating, and meditating on the words and the meaning of the words of today's topic. And I do not get distracted by issue other than this. For example, our family members, family issues, or my work. So I do not get distracted by all this.
That is another to a share passion on his hand. That ring on the Kanda, Malonzi Chia, see that Karina bed, Levaji Yabuji Shimmer, Chicken Sarwa. They Kanda was a thing Zinda, choosing me with another bed. The Dilonzi tried the Pion, love chamber in the Hibish. Pion love chamber in the Hibida. Hibi Tony, and Zinda bed. Indeed, see that Kandi, you shall tell them. The Chicken Yabuji Shimmer, Chicken, some to the Kanda sound, so the West knowledge Tawina. That here is question knowledge, symbol.
Next is to conjoin our practice with wisdom. So by knowing the benefits of listening, contemplating, and meditating on Dharma, then I try my best to listen. I try my best to understand the words and the meaning of today's topic. So if you do so, then your these 2 hours will be conjoined with the practice of wisdom.
더 대지에서 계신지 통지제도 상지지 공부도 대지도 나간다 담비치 내상 공수 신이 와 신지 대비이 사 리치도 상지 봐
Set motivation for the sake of all sentient beings. For the sake of all sentient beings, may I become Buddha. For this purpose, I'm going to listen to the commentary on the teachings and practice it accordingly, in order to benefit sentient beings by listening, contemplating, and meditating on it.
Yeah, thank you. 단단 가서 두스마 림바기도 진짜는 오늘 따바르 시투생에서 공지 제공을 와. 다 공지야데 난지 정한서 먼저 이게 전에 디지털 마비바 수저 간den데아레 세요나 단단 디나시 창상지 두스 공지 전로도 바이나 앞에미시 예자랍 좀 쉬지 사는 거래. 그래서 지서 같이 두개 나눠지 쓰는 거래. 전바도 전주 세워 돈 양다가 돈이 따와 창사기 누구라면서 와 창사기 누구래 리선사 때 가서 공세와의 인지민지 공리 되고라 우리 때는 양내 양의 공리 제와에는 뜻비도 하고 참고 예 제스마다 담보도 공리 제어기 마음에 제스 팀바나 마지막 제스 파지도나 양내마 젠기가 된지 상황에 때문에서 거 제스지 제발아 양내 제와라 지레우디 때문에 전에 때 답지 대표 상주 마찬가지 되고라 어디 유진도 들이 공제에 담아서 진짜 지금 맞대. 아니 양생양지 쉬고와.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about. We are going to do these meditations before each class, and Jose, then you should think about what I say, and then also conjoin or incorporate it in your meditations before you engage in any virtuous activities such as reciting prayers. So to the extent that you don't have to refer to your text anymore, so you have everything in your heart, then you cultivate this thought before you engage in virtuous activities. So that is the meditations that we are going to do before each class. And when we say meditations, so meditations basically is to habituate oneself. So when you habituate oneself or familiarize yourself with this, then you are going to conjoin these 6 perfections, such as the generosity and also the view of emptiness with your virtuous activities, and then your virtuous activities become a very good quality one. So even though now what we are doing, what we are cultivating is merely an approximate one, however, if we familiarize ourselves with the approximate practice of 6 perfections, so it will be very beneficial when it comes to the actual time when we engage in the Bodhisattva conduct. Yeah, so to continue, today we are going to talk about spite. Yeah. So the first one is spite, and according to Compendium of Knowledge, what is spite? And it is a malicious mind that is preceded by belligerence and resentment and is involved with anger.
其主播乱些长臂，照臂定性的眼睛是，或三那满一笔，满一本配眼睛的，第二来把门一笔眼睛，那看他七八十的月份呢，是现在的就过来生活吧。
And if we have spite or when spite arises, then it will do such functions. It will act as a support for rough, violent speech to increase that what is non-meritorious and not abiding in contact with happiness.
他讲的就是说，那经济上了，年报来把那，年报呢，绝报的托于上班的吧。这那现在经济说了，被年报的出的是，就那年报的第三个的理解年报的第三，哪个年报的第。 以及被年万的第三个都是老百姓呢，等我那现在得了高过的，说是你就下结果吧，你就下结果，你就下马结吧，是吧？你就把它可以上班的，人家被第二把考了把打算的，出来的经济就问题，考了现在的其实不人家没问题了，我的理解，基本上理解的不多，
So spite is an awareness which, for instance, lacking thoughts of regret and admission when another points out one's fault, wishes to utter harsh speech out of hateful thoughts driven by belligerence and resentment. So if someone come and tell you that, or you have done such faults or misdeeds by your three doors, your body, speech, and mind, if someone come and tell us that, then we should be happy about it. We should be happy about it, and then and regret about it, and then do confessions. So if we do not do that, and if this spite arises, then we will have this thought wishing to utter harsh speech to the person.
他七八岁的刚到办公室，多找我的，让有了让都就我国的没问题的事情，七八岁的让都就是话。 让都就我的国内吧，现在看到日本的建立的生育的理解，生育的理解，落的理解来看到七八十了，是吧？七八十万的。
哪几个年的钱对吧？咯？
我国内现在的那把只要跟这把是，跟这个逻辑，生育了那这个是吧？我的理解来看到七八十了。
So in brief, what is spite? Spite is a mental factor or is an awareness that wish to hurt others by speech, by its own power. So spite is a mental factor or awareness by its own power wishes to harm others by speech.
当然，这就是基本的第八类型吧，好像按照我的第八类型吧是的，是吧？这通通就没那么多，等最后等到看到第八了当的人吧，到我穷尽那些。
Yeah, so then from Precious Garland, then it describes spite as an adherence to misdeeds. So it's very short explanations about spite. And then from the explanations of the treasure of knowledge, then he also explains spite to be a tight holding to misdeeds, and that it arises from the conceptions of a bad view as supreme.
我到第七单，我是等到七八成都春秋一成，说是到不接去，那七八个等到那不得哇？他看到让都就我不能那半天的生育，我不能那半天的生育，等你进来七八人路上，那第三个礼拜呢，你说不一样，我不能没现在本来那半天不能接的，那个三个礼拜呢，我到七八的那个路上上面，你说的，给把我接过哇，是吧？七八说的，他没去查的过吧？我说。
So what to keep in our mind about spite is a mental factor or is an awareness by its own power wishes to harm others through speech or by speech. So that is the summary about spite. So when we when we encounter, when we are in the situations that we wish to harm others by our speech, then we have to recognize that as spite, and then you recognize that to be an object of abandonment, then you stop it from arising, or you prevent it from arising. Next is jealousy. So what is jealousy? It is a deep disturbance of mind that cannot tolerate another's marvelous attributes due to excessive attachment to gain and honor. So gain and honor is the object, is the main object to which jealousy arises, and is involved with hatred, or is I say it belongs to the category of hatred, and it has the functions of causing mental unhappiness and of not abiding in contact with happiness. So the nature of jealousy is, as it says here, it is a deep disturbance of the mind that cannot bear another's success or excellent qualities due to attachment to gain and honor. And so jealousy is very bad because it produces serious undesirable consequences in both these and future worlds, i.e. rebirths. And in this life, there will be mental unhappiness, and in future lives, one will be impelled into bad migrations, or you project bad migrations. So then we talk about the difference between jealousy and hatred. So jealousy is a deep disturbance of the mind, right? As you can see on the text, deep disturbance of the mind. So it is a mere disturbance of the mind. So the harmful intentions doesn't really arise. So however, when we talk about hatred, so hatred is not just a deep disturbance of the mind, and on top of that, wishes to harm others. So that is that is the difference between jealousy and hatred. So jealousy is just a deep disturbance of the mind, so without that harmful intentions, and anger is deep disturbance of the mind, and on top of that, wishes to harm others. Yeah. So to whom jealousy arises? So to persons whose quality, whose wealth, whose possessions, and whose good qualities higher than us, more than us, then to such group of person, jealousy arises. And to the group of person whose quality, such as wealth, possessions, and educations equal to us, then we the competitive mind will arise. And to the group of person whose quality is lower than us, like for example, the wealth, possessions, education levels is lower than us, then pride arises.
都是如果的，其他超多晓得，然后呢，对，有点好吧，多吧好吧，多吧气吧，个人呢，必须做吧好吧，的超多就是技巧的东西。但对嘛这，然后呢，娘不啦，弄句了是吧？就是多吧了是吧？娘不啦，超多几个人是吧？超多的了，然后呢，好吧了，超多几个嘛，这然后呢，娘不啦，超多几个人是吧？
이들이 그래서 란타 냠바이나 양 차도 기계와.
차도 기계.
지당이나
지당은 지전에 다시 그 시설이 봐. 지전에 가서 라는데 하바 지 비서도가 그네 하바다 차도 지와. 라는데 냠바는 레시지 와. 레시지 와. 라는 마와라 나지지 와. 들이 지전에 두지. 다 차도 세와데 라는 하바라 차도 지바 마치 단도 라는다 윤디 넘바 농지 냠바라 차도 지를 해서
Yeah, so even though in general we say jealousy arises to persons whose quality such as wealth, possessions, educational levels or realizations higher than us. So however, when we talk about jealousy in particular, so jealousy doesn't not only jealousy arises to persons whose quality is higher than us, even jealousy also arises to a group of persons whose good quality is equal to us. Yeah, so just now we talk about spite, and the second one is jealousy. So these two, it belongs to the category of hatred, and from the perspective of functions, they are similar as well. Next one is miserliness. So what is miserliness? It is a thorough holding of the mind to possessions due to excessive attachment to gain and honor, and is involved with attachment. Is involved with attachment, or it belongs to the category of attachment. So the nature of miserliness is a tight holding that is unable to let go of possessions through the force of attachment to gain and honor. It produces serious undesirable consequences in both this life and future lives. So miserliness is the tight holding to the possessions, tight holding due to the strong attachment to gain and honor, and unable to let go of it. So there are two types of miserliness, and the first type is the miserliness attached to one's possessions, and the second type of miserliness is miserliness attached to others' possession. 닭이 요즘 많이 봐양 양담도 생겨.
미신다기 배 가시 들리도와. 미신다기 배 짐발라 첨부 땅나 수수세나 시oni. 수수 요즘 말이 되나 미신다기 짐발라 첨부 땅에 수수세나 이제 이게 들리 오도와. 이런 거 주스는 거라.
This the tambor.
Mili Jimba Matos and Gapa Jenny to do. That is a town of Zigona. Maybe pay Jimba town with an Jimba town, Machiba Kali to do. What the you are saying that Rang Yoji Tom, Miniba Mazi, Migi Yoji, Senatan, the Congo Shiva.
The Nibatero, Shengi Yoji Chavis Senati. Yeah, so the first type, miserliness that attached to one's possessions is easy to understand. So the miserliness that are unable to let go of one's possessions, so attached to it and then unable to let go of it. And the second type, attachment that attached to others' possessions. So not only that oneself cannot let go of our own possessions, then when others do generosity, for example, they practice a great generosity and then give things to others, give a lot of things to others. Then when you see it, then you also have this miserliness arise in you. So due to the attachment towards others' possessions. Even though the possessions is not mine, however, due to attachment to others' possessions, then this miserliness arises. And this is the second type.
Yimbi so do bala kanda pachi chingo tsugo chi chamu ruwa sena sabati. Wazo jazi chanchu simbati zo ine kanda be nongche la sabati zo la yinire rangu yuda so la sabati ndegi zimbati na tongji chuna be sena kawata tuwa chini ki tindi yuwa. Dati zo tindi leo yin nga be yimbi ki tsotlap chimbo karo zo ruwa. Ta kanda yimbi ki so do bala pachi chingo tsugo chi sena di.
And miserliness is the main obstacles to one's is the main obstacles to the accumulations. Sorry, miserliness is the main obstacles to generosity. So, like for example, Bodhisattva. Then, like Bodhisattvas, when they practice generosity, not only they give resources and possessions to others, they even give their body and their life to others. So they happily give it to others. So through such practice, they easily accumulate great collections of merits. So, and if one falls under the control of miserliness, then it will become the main obstacles to one's practice of generosity.
So, when ji jimba ji tang bai na tong sui ya le la che ban de wa so ge tong sui pi da bo ji me bai na wo mo ja tong che tang bai na tong sui ya bo ji me bai na ti dan da jimba tong na tong de ge li se na ge jimba ji yo bai na te tong sui da bo cha wo yo ma jimba ya le pi da bo cha wo yo ma da dan da se na se wa da tong sui di da ga ko ro mo ji yo de bu do wa so tong sui ya bo ji de le se na do lo wa Sena Karwa. Sena Shuchum is a tonsil, Patija Wa. O Dini, Tata Pe Katinum, Sena the Medisho Katinum of Chan, Roa. O Dinismusa, that didn't kind of Jimmy sort of Pachi.
Yeah, so generosity. So as I mentioned just now, generosity is mainly about the minds of giving. So for example, if one give 1 ringgit to others, so that mind of giving makes a difference. So it depends on the minds of giving. Even if one if one give 1 ringgit to others. So if a person's with the minds of giving, then that even though it is only 1 ringgit, that giving becomes a good quality one. So if another person also give 1 ringgit to another's, yet do not have the minds of giving and fall under the control of miserliness, or is influenced by miserliness. So don't mention about giving 1 ringgit to others. Even this person, this stingy person, without the mind of giving, so give 100 ringgit or 1,000 ringgit to others. So that itself, that giving will not become a good quality one. So you can see these mind of giving and miserliness, they oppose each other. They oppose directly to each other. So if you have the mind of giving, then it stopped the miserliness from arising. And if miserliness arises, then it becomes obstacles to the mind of giving.
That's another content. The charge chapter of the yes, chapter.
Right. So miserliness, then it belongs to the category of attachment.
That's another the shani cheva. Yeah, the chidan the chabi chato redina, the shari low marwa, the shari low marwa.
On the Sena and the
chabi chato so she lives on double yorwa. Or Sena Jigway, Gyel-tsen Kasna, the earls of the Chati on the Sena Chigorwa.
To check each other in the Chile W.
Or she did the condition she did over. Who carries in the Sena so that the Chat but give one the Sena Zigor. That's Sena than the Chinese didn't chip here and that Sena and the Chinese chibati.
Kibati Cario Contagila. Sena said anything to check each other, anything Chile to chat on
the Chatu Sena and the Chabi Chato, and the Chabi Chato logo in the Casina. Sena did she did the Chabi logo here, Casina. The Chabi pay was to pay the earls of Patula Hacha Hinchali or in the Sena did Shencha de one with the Tandan Zingo, Sena, Sena. In the earls of Patula Shencha one with this Sena delivery. Sena Tandan Zingo, in a thousand. The Shencha Chimolo, the Shenam Tamatu, the Tamban Zingo. Oh, dear. That under the Chato is and the child Sena and Cheba Yoris. Cheba Kadisna, Sena saw the Yoji to Tandan Zinzi. Tandan Zinzi, Shena Pomani, but Tandan Zinzi, Sena Sedusa. The child saw that Yoji Sama, Shencha, Chabaji decision. Or the child Yoji lost about 20 people of the Chabaji. You know, but that's a child. In Sena, the child Chato, then the child Sena and Chibadua. What the Sena saw that your yellows about a Chinese Tandan Zimba, the Tandan Zimbi. The child saw that by Hindi, Shenchacha, the killers of Shenchachi. What didn't you?
That's right. Yeah. So what is the reason? We say miserliness is part of attachment or belongs to the category of attachment? Because their functions, the functions of miserliness is similar to attachment. So due to miserliness, miserliness is due to attachment. Then it hold tight to the possessions. So then there is the reason. So the reason why we call miserliness as a part of attachment, because due to attachment, then miserliness hold tight to possessions. Then the difference between miserliness and attachment is miserliness is out of attachment to possessions, hold tight, unable to let it go. That is miserliness. And attachment is attach or cling to the possessions. So that is the difference between miserliness and attachment.
Oh, that's another notion. Sena saw the Tandan Zimba. The chas saw the Himi Namaji. Dodo Kadu Tabdebora, Sena saw the Tandan Zimba, Hila Matan Tamato, Tandan Zimbi. The chas saw the Himi Namaji. Shencha. What? There are some many Himi Namaji. Himi Namaji, yes.
Yeah, so in brief, so miserliness is out of attachment, hold tight to the possessions, unable to let it go. That is miserliness. And attachment is clinging to the possessions.
Chado the Sinani doa, as you put the Chado Shirua. Chado the Sinani, Nicola Chapuan Juan.
Chado
the Sinani. Chado the Sinani, Nicola Chapini Juan. Nicola Chabi on the Chado to Nicola Chabi on the Senate. Always happy or Chado the Senate meeting. Nicola and the Earls of Zilla Kanta Chabi on the Chado the Lema, Senate Lema.
And just now we talk about the jealousy. Now we are talking about miserliness, and these two arises due to attachment to gain and honor, due to attachment to the quality in the desirarium. So because of this attachment, miserliness and jealousy arise.
That was a dimba Judy that was Judy machine. That on the Senate was.
And yeah, so there is explanations about miserliness. Next, we talk about deceit.
That dimba juicy was another nearby the Kudula Harper Chani, didn't the Tumugi Chatobi, and Yindiji Maibala, Kundu Tema, Indid Temas, who deal with
Yep. So what is deceit? It is a display of what is not one's good quality due to excessive attachment to gain and honor, and is involved with attachment and ignorance. It has the functions of acting as a support for wrong livelihood.
That she learned the law beats for you, law
Yeah. So its function is support the wrong livelihood.
That kind of just what the Direndua Kanda never Kutuda and never the Kutula Hapara Chani. Then the chata, Tumugi Chatobi, that you did Maimba la Kundo, you did Tema. That's also you did never, you did Tema, that the General Level didn't do she into the
Yeah. So, so deceit is a display of good qualities, what doesn't actually possess due to attachment to gain and honor, as in the case of pretending. So this is the nature of deceit. So deceit is you pretend to have a good quality, in fact you do not have, due to attachment to gain and honor.
That just what they did Kanda. So lobby so you think she will change into what that be just what they that do Kanda so Nicola Chabi on the Rana Yundi Mena. Indeed, maybe she's a bit so good. Now you did the number temper. You are Ranga, the Toba Mena, Chitoba, you on the Chitty number 10. The need where you see the Karazana, Nicola Chabi wanted that. Or Nicola Chabi wanted. Nicola Chabi wanted that and that to situation number the cancer. No song on the Tambo Sinchis or the did it or Sinchis.
So deceit basically is due to attachment to gain and honor. Then one pretend to have a good quality, or one pretend to have realizations. So even though you do not have realization, you pretend to have one. And even though you do not have quality, then you pretend that you have a good quality. So why do we pretend having those quality, having those realizations? Due to attachment to gain and honor. So as the wrong livelihood, there are 5. Then the first one is pretension.
Kanda Nekuter Hari Chedape, Maraniga, Misanchida, Metsekuru Michi, Naji Petropo, Tomo, Dipe, Chigi Nodoshi. What that the Digipe, Pajotepe, Sichipe, Sosu Lima, which are parts of the country to do in the beginning Nekuter Hari Cheda, Nijidua. Oh, they that Sichi Jabba that to stay the Nekorachi, the Shavaina, that Jukes are there, Kandarwa. Just a deep that.
Yeah, so 5 wrong livelihood. The first one is pretension. So pretension is for the sake of obtaining gain, for the sake of gain and honor, one pretend having good qualities, and one pretend to have good behavior, and one pretend to have a good good behavior, such as you behave properly, you walk properly, and you sit properly, and again for the sake of getting the gain and honor, or for getting things and honor, then you pretend to be a good family, pretend to be a family, or pretend to be friends in front of others. So pretend in front of others for the sake of gain and honor is deceit. Is deceit.
주방 넘버 바이나 뒤내고서 하고요 말와 이거 하고 말아 니팅 말와 주방 넘버 지는 미팅 말와 앞에 주방 야고 때한테 고 니고 자를 쳐들어와 니고라 쳐다 뭐 소 잡으러와 뭐 리자반 원소 세치스와데 근데 기본은 민지 매기의 여바다 지 신지 나오는 시지 봐서 담보들이와 원소는 담보 라야 쳐도 그 넘버 때한테.
Yeah. So why do we pretend in front of others to have good physical behavior and good verbal behavior? Is for the sake of getting things and to gain honor from others. So for gain and honor, then one pretend in front of others to have a good physical and verbal behavior, and that is pretension. So the reason why do we pretend is to get things or to have honor, to get things from others, or to gain honor. So, and if we get things, or if for the sake of gain and honor, and if we pretend in front of others, then it becomes a wrong livelihood. So pretensions is explained above, an external pretense towards others, feigning good qualities one doesn't have, or faking good qualities one doesn't have.
가서서 다 간다 내고지 아 디치데 간다 진장고 디체 신야시와 데 간다 뭐가 다 좋아 뭐가 다 때 기전님 보시야 다 가시 때 기전님 보시는 쇼지 때 뭐가 당 통으로 뭐 디치데 간다 데 뭐가 다 기전님 보시야 시 바로 들 편치데 게 말해 소수님 거 알아 와 어디래 가서서.
And the second wrong livelihood is flattery. And flattery is to speak smooth words or speak pleasant words in conformity with the minds of others for the sake of gain and honor. So here you speak smooth or pleasant words is not to benefit others. And you speak pleasant and smooth words here is to deceive others in order to get gain, for the sake of gain and honor, then you do so, then it becomes flattery.
also somebody 간다 용롱서 들어와 아 용롱서의 인지 제대로 수서 아치다 다 간다 땅아도 간지 땅고에서 앞에 너무만 더 버틸 중앙을 때 로버디 든지 체스다 뜨게 펜도야 부시고 중지 단도 든지 아치다 와 지 아치디 안자 아치다 때 아마베 지로 버치야다 때 스페미싱한 때 펜보 중요하다 하장 백강에 쇼스에서 놓으시니 다 들리다마다 와 이 안자 아치들 뭐도 왜 저기 소소 펜도 주와 아치들 이바이나 됐다마도는 지고요 와 됐다마도는 지고요 소소 가서 소소랑 원에 강에 주바다 강에 세가 주바이나 빨리 타고는 뒤에 제가 강에 쇼스에서 안자 니고 아치들 마미바이나 또왜에서 샤워 와 난다 때마다 되게 안자지 아치 때마다 와.
So the next one is hinting. Hinting is to first flatter others and then praise their possessions out of an attachment to gain. So hinting is again for the sake of getting things from others again, then you praise. So like for example, someone gave you something in the past, then you praise them for having given you, for having gave you help when you are in need, or it was very beneficial. Then you praise them, and your motivations you have this thought to get the things again, and you praise them, or your giving was very beneficial to me, and then your giving helped me a lot when I was in difficulty. So that becomes hinting. So if you sincerely thanks them, and if you sincerely praise them for what they have done to you, so the good things that they have done to you, or the help they have offered to you, then if you do it sincerely without the thought of getting things from them again, then it doesn't become a hinting. So the next one is extortion, and extortion speaks about the faults of great miserliness and the like for the sake of gain. So extortion is when you know that person A is going to give 100 ringgit to person B, then you knew about it, then you start to tell person A, the giver, that, or the person that you want to give to very bad behavior, also no quality, then you start to criticize the person whom the giver intended to give to. So then you criticize already, then you say something, you say something in order to make the person to give you. You say something, and you use methods or by means, then you instead to make the person, instead of giving that 100 ringgit to person B, and then you make the person A to give it to you. So if you have such thought for such thought attached to gain and honor, and then if you do so, then it becomes extortion. And the last one is seeking gain from gain, and this is to seek gain by praising in the presence of another what one has previously obtained, saying previously so and so gave me such and such. So this seeking gain from gain can be praise another person in front of another, praise another person in front of someone. So in that, or the person have helped me so much, etc., in order to get something from the person who is in front of you. So that can be one scenario. And another scenario for seeking gain from gain to happen could be, so the person previously gave you something, then in order to get that things from the person again, then you give something small, you give a small gift to the person in order to get a big gift from the giver. So we talk about this 5 wrong livelihood in the context of deceit. So the deceit is the main thing that we talk about. So what is deceit? So deceit is for the sake of gain and honor. One pretends having a good quality of body speech by body speech and through body speech and mind. So as you pretend having some good quality through your physical and verbal actions, so that you behave well, you talk well, and also can be through your mental as well. Like for example, you do not have the realizations, then you pretend to have one, then that is a deceit. So you pretend having some good quality for the sake of gain and honor through your body, speech, and mind. Yeah, so deceit is to pretend. So, and when we talk about lying or lying about one's realizations, so there is one great negativity of lying about one's realization. So, among lying, and then this one is considered the great negativity of lying. So through speech, then you lie about one's realization. Like for example, if you are not arhat, then you pretend that pretend in front of others that you have achieved arhatship already, and even and you did not develop any bodhichitta in your mind stream, then you pretend in front of others that you have already developed. So that is the great negativities of lying about one's realization. So the next one is dissimulation. So what is dissimulation? And it commits faults due to excessive attachment to gain and honor, and is involved with attachment and ignorance. And the functions of dissimulation is mainly to hinder the acquisitions of perfect instructions. So dissimulation is an awareness that wishes to hide one's faults, not revealing them to others through the force of attachment to gain and honor. So that is what simulations is about. So basically, out of attachment to gain and honor, the thought or the wish to hide one's faults. So that is dissimulations. So due to attachment due to attachment to gain and honor, then one wish to hide one's fault or keep one's fault secret, then that is dissimulation.
非常也是个。
Nowadays, hiding our faults, then we act smart and clever if we can get away with it. So, yeah. So if one has did something wrong, and then one hides it or keep that fault a secret without others noticing it, then we usually call that person very smart, right? Very clever, because very smart and clever in hiding his faults. So even though he had done something wrong, but he hid it so well that nobody knows about it, then we call that as is our way of calling it, then we call that person very smart, very clever, right? However, if we were to check these actions against Dharma or compare ourselves to Dharma, then this is just self-deceptions only.
那刚才有时候呢，真的就是说让自己让你觉得上网去特别结果是吧？特别结果你看到让你觉得让自己的赢了没有吧？这上网去特别结果生出去，特别结果生出来说，那看到的效果，有时候。
So dissimulation is a mental factor that tries to hide or keep one's faults secret without others noticing it. So that is dissimulation. I repeat. So dissimulation is a mental factor by its own power try to hide or keep one's faults secret without others noticing it. That is dissimulation.
恰巴是我的，又是我的，恰巴是我的，这样说绝对恰巴，对吧？是吧？恰巴是我的，等到看到又是我的，恰巴肯定是第七巴的，是吧？恰巴是我的，让都就被绝对爸爸，所以说让都就被绝爸爸是绝对上巴，那是农业部对吧？是吧？
恰巴
是我，恰巴是我的，恰巴呢让都就绝对爸爸，又是我的，让都就绝对他错一些就是，让都就被我绝对把三样的他写出来写进去，我的理解。
即卷包啊，啲包卫生中啲咧。
即包他写出来。我理解。
Yeah. So previously we also learned about concealment. So if you remember concealment. Then you can find it yourself. So, So previously we learned about concealment. So concealment is also hiding one's fault. So concealment is hiding faults by its own power. So that is concealment. And dissimulation also similar, but it is a mental factor that try or seek mean to hide it by its own power. It's a mental factor. It's a mental factor by its own power. Seek mean to hide the faults. And you in a rang dovki, anything because a rangi kun power tapsu chiati. Yeah, so dissimulation is a mental factor by its own power. Seek mean to hide the faults. Yeah, so that is the difference between concealment and dissimulation.
我也是经常说，有的，是个见的吧，商业的他是嘛些吧，是说别呢，那就做的，这当都是个见商业的，别话接他去见那个，说刚刚没中国讲不是呢，我们中国讲不的，前面嘛的，说个见，这个听的别，开始的别，警告别人别碰到什么，等你去听的个学说是，就那个别吧，等你啥时候是呢，说个看来见的，看来见的怕。 就是基本上，这个听的多呢，不然要是有的，是吧？在墙上人家没能看到，是吧？所以个年纪的那些啥学说是特别，所以怕当上结巴人呢，就把钱呢都是老外人呢，你把这里嘛地区不一样当是不个是吧？是吧？等你早你嘛就把所个别人别的早你呢，你把啥人呢啥没事别的吧人呢，这个是就好过吧人呢，对了，你是听你是当过的你去这个机构参与。 요바 들지 시시에 이루와 다 간다 딘데 있는 강시와 자그스 칠라 들지 넌 시시 이루와 지단 가서 도스 내 현자지랑 가서 카드 제외나 내가 차디고 소소그 논지 중바이나 내가 논지 중스 미 파쇼들 미 본다 제본 제로 시는 미 파쇼들 따다지페 코랑게 상당 야야요와 소소그 쥐에 직주보지 러시아나 저한테 계속 직주보지 러시아에서 본다스 요 쥐에 나랑 그 리마스세 라우 본다 시야이나 당문에 쥐에 소소그 간다 예바도 다로 그러고 와 반예바 다야 돼. 니 바로도 뭔가 다로 그러와.
Yeah, so even though in a society, if a person who did bad things and also try all means to hide it, and then he get away with it, then we usually call that person very smart also, right? Because he's a smart, but it's just not smart in a good way. So he's smart in a bad way in hiding the faults he had done. So in fact, this person is not smart or not clever. So because if one person had, if one person have done something wrong, like for example, or break the rules of the rules or regulations, or did something wrong, then instead of hiding it, is best to admit the faults he has done, and then to willingly turn himself in, for example. So if he has done something wrong, then willingly turn himself in. Then usually, then according to some country laws, then the punishment might be smaller or lighter. So if do not turn yourself in, then you try to hide it, and others know about it already, and then when they investigate and found out that you are the person who committed that crime, then the punishment will be heavier or greater than you willingly turn yourself in. So it is also that is how we should deal with faults. So in general, even if we do something wrong to another person, to our friends, for example, then we say something bad to the persons yesterday, then you realize it already, you regret, and then you say sorry to your friend that, oh, I say something wrong to you. Then if you sincerely apologize to others, others tend to forgive you also, right? So then how's it then your relationship become better again.
진짜 제가 이나 다소소그 노트 전부 배 군단이 직접보지 넣으셨으나 딜러나 파쇼들어 배 세상사 수소세 한번 담아 차는 거와 이게 베데 디나코라 로 같은 데에는 베베 지센 나사 디여와 센나사 디여와 그다 리치가 뭐 나사 파 유저로.
Yeah. So if you did something wrong, like for example saying bad words to another person, then you should sincerely apologize to the persons. So if you do so, then the person also forgive you. Then you also apologize already. So you yourself and another persons, they also feel happy about it. So there is no burden. They don't have to carry these faults with them. So if you were to hide that faults, you do not sincerely apologize to others, then you will carry this burden however long you hide it, right? For however long you hide it, then you are not going to happy for throughout this duration.
먼저 그 전부를 찾은 거를 배 소소를 네바든지 sana 파슈들 배 소소를 샤바체 샤도체 배 문다스 디 쉐바이나 파슈들 가서 장주고 있어 정말 요즘 이거이나 어디 샤바도 많이 많이나 이 코로나 때 장주 생산도 지고다 좋아 자동 어쨌든 이 샤바도 비디 샤바도 많이 많이나 샤바도 많이나 코로나 장주 생이 정말 여바이나 이래 자동 제고 좋아 자동 제고 이 그때 하고가 배 개체모로 와 나지 가서.
So this is very important. Yeah, because if we have done something wrong, then we should regret it, and then we should sincerely confess, admit it, and also apologize to others. And if the person whom you speak bad words to, then if that person is a if that person have received Bodhisattva vows before, then if you sincerely apologize to the person, then the person should forgive you. So if he or she doesn't forgive you, if you sincerely, even though you sincerely apologize, then it will cause a root downfall to his Bodhisattva vows. So it is very important to know about this point.
다 요즘에 뭐든 생들이 양다기 당하는 거라 봐도 지금 새로 10만 대바지 이힘도 문제거든. 당하면 해봤어. 문제 반나서 지구리 했을 디시구가 리미도 없이 다른데 담아대. 담아 요즘에 문제 내세와. 어떤 디지털이 해서 어디 맞으면서 요즘에 뭐든 맞은 나비치기는 나비치기는 시가 들어와. 나치시와 때들나는 제고 좀 당오라는 나리 내고와 나치시는 나치 시가 잘 요즘 들어와
뉴기니 보데. Yeah. So since these two, deceit and dissimulation, hinder the acquisitions of perfect instructions in this life and produce various kinds of undesirable consequences in future lives, not meeting with great vehicle spiritual friends, not gaining perfect instructions, and so forth, deceit and dissimulation are listed as the fourth black dharmas in the four. Listed as the fourth in four black dharmas.
The
next one is hottiness. And what is hottiness? It is a joy and mental happiness upon seeing one's own good health, youth, signs of long life, or contaminated success, and is involved with attachment. So what is hottiness? So basically hottiness is an inflated mind when one has the quality of being very young, have a wealthy, beautiful, handsome. So when you go out with a bunch of people, then you have this inflated mind that you have those good qualities. Then that is hottiness.
That is a job of the bunch of China. Yeah, low shade is a lot months. The low shade was saying that is also belongs to Yabo Yungich. Yeah, Longi Piso Yabo Yungich. Yeah, Lanzo Mena Longi Yabo Yungich. That is a Longi Yungich and low shade on you. Or that the low shade is also best. That's so the number that Cartor Bay, Shibuya in a that Hajan came and see that Michi the party ready to tap a Shibuji. That really come back for a cow, sell cow to a hammer or came back the Lichi, the English or the that dinner Japanese.
Yeah, so hottiness is basically, as a hottiness most probably will arise in those who are very young. So as I they tend to have this hottiness. So those who are very young, then they tend to have this hottiness, and those who are very rich or have a lot of possessions, then they tend to have hottiness as well. Or those who are very rich, but even though they are not young anymore, but they are very rich, then they also tend to have this hottiness as well. So it can be either, or it can be together with those good qualities, then they have this inflated mind, or they feel haughty. So And if a person has this haughtiness, then when they go out with others, then they are so, that they feel light, and then even they don't know. Yeah, then they don't even know the directions they want to go. So because of this haughtiness, they also don't know the directions they want to go.
The Chiba countries na Hele Rani pe say to at the Richan, I just what Hele Rani say to at that Jabas was the Hele to at the Bugama, that run also the Pesho Yoba in the same camp. Loa or Dinicheva, Jabba and Najisman. Chita Kimban Zimbala Chiba in two and Zimbala Chiba in the Jiwa, say Kimba Toada, Gawada Devan Zimba to Chiba in Loa. Or that Cheva Karsna, Najis or the Hele Peroni Toada. Toipe, let's say Kimban Majachi. Jabba saw the Rani belongs all us about the Kari in Tolpe, Shiva and Dilpe say Kimban Zimich.
Shen lay anything, some tang ma.
Or Hela Santang, so that you so long so number suit is Shiva. This was a bit Tomo Shibin, say King in the
Yeah. So then we talk about now we are talking about haughtiness, and previously we talked about pride, right? So what is the difference between these two? So haughtiness and pride, they are same in terms of having this inflated mind. They are happy, they have joy, and have this inflated mind, and then they also assume a superior positions. So they also assume superior positions or higher positions. So in terms of this, haughtiness and pride are the same. So they have this inflated mind, think that they have this inflated mind, they have joy and mental happiness, they also assume high positions or higher positions. So, however, the difference between these two is pride, it assumes a higher positions to others. It assumes a more superior position to others. That is pride. And haughtiness, it doesn't need others. So the others is not in the picture. It's just oneself have this inflated mind and feel good or feel joy and mental happiness about one's own good qualities, such as health and youth.
Japas around to the Rangi Pinson is said to one, the Rangi pieces of the Rangi Pes number also Karina, the pieces of the state ones in Magua, but that didn't check Shiva. That same twins in Bakimban in Bakadins in God the Chiba in Bachiwa.
Yeah. So the similarity between haughtiness and pride is inflated mind, joy and mental happiness, and assume a high position. So, however, the difference between these two is pride assume a more superior to others or a higher position to others. So the others is in the picture. So, and however, that haughtiness is just oneself feeling joy, have this inflated mind about one's own good quality, youth and good health. So the others no need to be present. The others is not in the picture. It's just oneself feeling good about one's own good health, youth, and that inflated mind about one's own good quality.
That Japa de la Kanda, Lu pieces of Japa, Longi pieces of Japa, Jungle Lulu pieces of dead ones Japa. A Longi Rana, Longi pieces of Japa. That Rangi Koro, Rana, Kobe pieces of Nibi. Japa, Science, Japa de la Sunshine, Lu pieces of Nibi Japa. 농지 비슷 저바 미비 잡아 코르 비슷 저바 한 코르 비슷 저바 미비 잡아 생샤 와
니베 차바에 니베 차바 니베 잡아 리푼수 쳐봐 유베
다른 리푼수 저바 이거 들려배 토한지 기타 간다 잡아와 들려서 키바 토한지 잡아 나 농지라 잡아 농지들 키반지 잡아 난 코르 비슷 저바 코르 비슷 저바 미비 잡아
미비 잡아다 그래
미비 잡아다 대수나 간다 미세 유드 대수와 자판 지야 세 토한 지사게 유드 류 농지 비슷 저바 코르 비슷 저바 난 코르 비슷 저바 지난 거죠 예 디스소소 농지 쳐본다고 보다 야 빼몬다고 근데 이바이나 다 코르 비슷 저바 뭐 요러와
Yeah, so there are 3 types of hottiness. So hottiness observing one's excellent body. The second type is hottiness observing one's excellent possessions or resources. And the third type is hottiness observing one's companion or entourage. So these one's excellent body, resources, and companion are the objects of observation or the object to which hottiness arise. So, and the third type, hottiness observing one's excellent companion or entourage, like it tends to happen or it tends to arise in those whose positions, who hold a high position, for example, those manager or CEO or executive. So they tend to have this hottiness, observing their own excellent companion or entourage or followers. And the next one is harmfulness.
Number 7. 간지는 군도비 차도바 로아 군도 차도바 니 비자 신제를 니 제와베 니 제베바 제와베바 넘버 토서비 제세 로아 신나 간다바 넘버 토서비 제세 네버 지에 데바이니 이게 인데 비세주지가 뭐로와
네버 지에기 뉴셈디로
싫어 네버 지에 간다 인데 비세주지
So what is harmfulness? It is involved with anger, is part of anger, or it belongs to the category of anger. And it is non-benevolence, non-compassion, and non-kindness. It has the functions of harming others. So it is a harmful intentions, wish to harm others.
This is you, but this is you, this Hina Chewani Borwa. And that the number Chewahina. Want to know Chewa Maji, Sinjil Chewa Maji, Sinjil never Majila Borwa. Sinjil Chewachia, Kandina Petudo, and the Chewachia, my race is the Nebachi. And never generated, never such a little the Ninji of my Chewa, my Sinjil. Sinjil Ninji, the Chewa Menatilla, never Chewa. This Sinjil Ninji, the Chewa Yoba, never check my pass. This one that Ryan to the Chewa may be saying you say, Mijiko, number 2.
So, yeah, so harmfulness is mental factors without benevolence, without compassion, and without kindness. So harmfulness, in other words, another way of calling harmfulness, it can be violence as well. So if we say do not be violent towards other sentient beings or towards other beings, then another way of saying this is do not harm the sentient beings. Do not be violent towards those sentient beings. So that is what harmfulness is. If a person does not have benevolence, compassion, or kindness towards others, then, and if they harm them, then that is violent towards others. So when a person harm another being, then at that at that time, then that person do not have compassion. That person do not have any kindness, because if they were to have compassion, benevolence, and kindness, they will not harm other sentient beings, right? So yeah, so when a person harm others, then the benevolence is missing, is missing, compassion is missing, and kindness is missing.
So the cutting of the low the rangi taught somebody to be needs your rangi pay here taught somebody to be needs your he taught something shade and to be needs your Kanda rangi pay digital pay wa zewa never change say. That's Hina pay never changing the ship. Indeed, the other Cuban of the law. Indeed, Hina pay sewa teaching. That they must mission again, the Sijira pay sort Jibada. So meaning Tomajuna, the legislation. Mission again, Hindagila pay Situ go to judge love, so Turbina, tell us the God. Jesus. But that day, did that say what I need to deliver?
Yeah. So harmfulness is a wish bereft of benevolence to harm sentient beings. So that is harmfulness. So here the synonyms about non-benevolence, non-compassion, and non-kindness, and the meaning of it is, since it is a wish to harm by oneself, it is a non-benevolence. So oneself wish to harm. So that is non-benevolence. Then since it is a wish to engage others in harming, it is non-compassion. So non-compassion is you engage others in harming, or you ask others to harm. So you order others to harm, you ask others to harm, then that is non-compassion. And non-kindness is when you see others or hear others doing bad things, or harming others, or even verbally hurt others, then you rejoice. You rejoice in their harming or harmful actions, then that is non-kindness. And next one is non-shame. So what is non-shame? It is a non-avoidance of misdeeds on account of oneself, and is involved with attachment, hatred, and ignorance. And it has the functions of assisting all root afflictions and secondary afflictions. Non-shame is an awareness that doesn't avoid misdeed on account of either oneself or the Dharma. So previously we learned about shame, right? So shame is an awareness that avoid misdeed out of considerations of oneself. So that is shame. So the opposite of it is non-shame. So in Tibetan way of saying, so if to describe a person without shame, then it's like a person who wear a thick mask. So a person who wear a thick mask on his face. So to say this, to describe those person without shame when they do all kinds of weird stuff.
다 잔도 동바다 장주승 동바다 다 라중이나 배소타지 동바라서 봐라 근데 간디지 여바이나 그러니까 소소게 제 마루야 간디지 여바이나 그때를 치는 만세 받지 내가 제도 모르고 왔다 떠온 만세 봐 예바산 내가 지에 들어와 근데 내가 지고한테 간다고 원산 예바로 봐 원산 근데 제도지 다 한번 생기게 간다 로 그런 파샤니 때 간다 리마고 이제 둘이 제우리 때 원산 내가 들어와
So a person with non-shame or a person without shame, then especially and if the person is a person who have received bodhisattva vows or individual liberation vows, such as the ordained vows, then if they do not avoid doing what is not supposed to do, then that is non-shame. That is non-shame. The non-avoidance of those negativities or what is not supposed to do, then that is non-shame.
근데 먼저 개는 더 붙이 빼자 시군과 다 창통화 들어와 창통화 됐다 개는 무슨 좋은 거 말아 좀 좋으면 와서다 근데 내가랑 그 통해서 레모도 쓰는 들은 쟁마데 간다 뭐 차이가 와 왔다 들은 만지 받던 거 이나 당 왔잖아 와 좀 좋고요 말아 좀 좋고요 말인데 이나 또 맞춰서 가래 또 맞춰서 제가 가르당 가는 가게 또 잡아도 못 사는 와
So here the example is if a fully ordained monk encounters an intoxicant, and like for example alcohol or liquor, and avoids a misdeed on account of oneself, thinking drinking this intoxicant is not something I should do, then this is shame. So in opposite of this, if this fully ordained monk were to encounter intoxicant and do not avoid it and drink it, then that is non-shame. So so if they have also when they drink it, then they have this thought thinking that I would just drink it. I mean, if break vows, then break lah, then they do not care about it, then that is non-shame.
다 돈이 버 체메 받이다로 다 체메데 간다 이제 차다 시단다 뜻무비 차다 하는 뭐 신의 문제 마시 이러와
체메. So next one is non-embarrassment, and it is a non-avoidance of misdeeds on account of others, and is involved with attachment, hatred, and ignorance.
다 니무다 니니 뭐 탄지 도시비에 제레스다 체메도와 다 뭐차 체메스나 지도 두어지 뭐 주소는 왜 두어지로와
What's that? Yeah, so it has the functions of assisting all root afflictions and secondary afflictions. If a person do not have embarrassment and shame, even in the society, other people will regard that person as a bad people.
다 체메스와의 시제제의 니바라 짐바미 빌로와 맞아 체여스지와 체여스와의 가르스나 이 야부 슈지라야 가르스나 배 나라도 배 니지배 내가 두자지 레바이나 응아분이 지도자 라바다 리지자방 님바다 리지 제바이나 이 간다 신다고 말아 메라 당거래 스스로 날때 니 기긴 때 투네고 용고 말이스 와 니가 라마 투네고 용고 말이스 니 조고 조마이나 그저 투네보다 가고 용고 말이스 간다 소소의 파마이나 앞에 소소가 투네고 말이와 니기 주제를 상호단에 떼고 소소가 내발은 세마게 이 체가 왔어 뭐와 어다 체 내발에 니 되게 도셔다 다 가래 시기 메라 땅아 시기 상호 만지바 주나죠 무슨 때 내발 만제게 와 만지바이나 만지비다 로데 간다 체게 말와 체게 말이다 간다 저버서 갔다니다 간다 디 체니 참고와
So previously we studied embarrassment. We studied embarrassment before. So here is the opposite of it, non-embarrassment. So embarrassment itself is good because it is an avoidance of misdeed out of consideration for others. So like for example, one avoids doing the physical and verbal negativities out of consideration for like if I do that, then others will criticize me. Others are not going to be happy with me. Like for example, my teacher is not going to be happy with me with me doing these negativities. My lama also not going to be happy about it. My friends and my parents, they are not going to be happy about my wrongdoings as well. So take these as a reason one avoids doing negativities, and that is embarrassment. So the opposite of it is non-embarrassment. So it's easy to understand. The opposite of it then is non-embarrassment. So non-embarrassment, basically, you do not have any considerations of others. Whether they criticize you, if they criticize. If my parents, my friends, my lama, my teacher, they are not happy about, they will not be happy about it. Then they think whatever they want. Then you don't care. Then that is then you avoid. Then you engage in those negativities. That is non-embarrassment.
저 마루가 내가 누워지 가르리는 다디니가 내 와 뭐참 받아 체리 받지 와 어디니 건기 땡길래 버려 어디니 레와 선자 당어서 뭐참 내가이나 예 소소 가지고 가면 채워버려 체리 바이나 때 가지고 가면 채워버려 당어서 주소는 니 뭐참 이제 체면就是뭐참就是나디 용사 원다는 거 좋아 다 체면 봐서 돼 시사바나 저 된다때 딜려 버려 참 내가 취미 번이데 요새 신지라 때에 이 샤워 두발아 무슨 지금 말해 근데 내가 두자 간지를 때에 인지 마스상다 지치 자원 얘기가 말아 뭐 들리 순서 때에 내가 두자 지야 그때 시작하고 차도
So non-shame and non-embarrassment assist all afflictions and act as the cause of all misdeeds. So it is the foundation or is the cause of all misdeeds. For if the wish to avoid misdeeds is absent, one will not be able to guard against them. So another way of saying this is, if you do not wish to avoid misdeeds, then you will not guard against them, and then you will just engage in them anyway. So in society, then we also call the persons, do not ashamed of his own actions. I mean, also we say the person tak malu, etc. So then it's the persons that is what we usually say, or the person is not ashamed of his own actions. So then on top of that, then we have these new words that the person do not embarrass, do not feel embarrassed about his own wrong actions. So then if one do not have these two mental do not have the mental factors of shame and embarrassment, then this person is going to engage in all sorts of negativity. Next one is lethargy. So one is lethargy. It is an unserviceability of mind and is involved with ignorance. It has the unserviceability of mind and is involved with ignorance. And its function is to assist all root afflictions and secondary afflictions. Yeah, so lethargy is heaviness and unserviceability of the body and mind, and it is part of ignorance.
대화 나시 리페 소소 긴다 레가지 가지 레구나 리디페 소소 레가 가르 끄고 나오지 요 말로 왔니 리고 리디페 하전 지원 지구 사고 차사로 오다 되나시 무버스가 된 가서 실린데 디셔스다 가나 리페 게이샤와 두발라 하장페 꾸마도 지와지.
So lethargy is a physical heaviness, or it is a the mental heaviness as well. So you don't, if it's a physical heaviness, then you don't feel like moving. So you don't feel like moving even a little bit. Then of course you are unable to engage virtuous actions. So then it's like a pregnant lady who is about to give birth already. Then she also has a difficulty in moving his body as well. So such such situations that you cannot employ your body at will, then that is a physical heaviness.
다 세지와 세와데 게이샤와 간디지 두고네 그 두운데 메바치 그 춘의 두야는 내가 메바치 지지리는 그 세지와 세와와 다 간다 리시 예스 무로한테 간다 리시 지와 되니 간다 게이샤와 두바라 지나 바치 쳔게시 찬 두바들와 뭐 들리스면서 다 리시 지와 되니 간다 게이샤와 간디지 두고네 델라페 두운데 메바 근데 찬
And mental heaviness is unwilling to engage in virtuous activities, or not willing or do not wish to engage virtuous activity. That is mental heaviness. So basically, physical heaviness and mental heaviness, they are obstacles to virtuous activity.
당연히 나지 신의 두가슬라 바치 지게 저도 못 받아 시원하다 그 봐서 우리 저도 내고라는지 뭐 이렇게 시고래 다 간다 못 받아 시원이 이 제가 시와 이 지와 못 받아 시원이 제가 그래요 예스 지와.
So when we talk about obstacles to come abiding, so usually we talk about laxity, excitement, and lethargy as well. So then what is the difference between lethargy and laxity?
진단 해병원 간다지 시원을 내려와지 맞아 신이 두고 진단바 해를 와 해병원 그 간다 시원을 내려와지 이 시반하지 와.
So lethargy is, as I mentioned just now, by its own power, the unserviceability of the body and mind. So by its own power, the unserviceability of the body and mind, that is lethargy. And laxity is laxity is a loose way of apprehending. The way of apprehending become loose. Then that is laxity. That is when laxity arises. So when your way of apprehending become loose, then laxity arises.
얘가 가르치는 앞에 수상중 이친구 찬도 가서 와참을 체험해 봤어. 와, 와참을 체험해 봤어. 무슨 변화인지 주소는 앞에 수속을 내가 가르치지 봐이나. 된 와참을 차원도 못 체험해 봐 차원도 못. 저는 가서 좀 같이 내가 지시지만 일단 연애에서 무슨 거로 와. 예, 소위 나와서 와참을 받아 체험해 봤을 때 우리는 저기 미리 통화해줘. 이 너무 일려고 하는 거서 와. 뭐들이 있으니까
Yeah, so now we learned about the mental factors, and one of it is shame, and another one is embarrassment. It's very important to relate what we learn in mental factors, and then apply it to our practice. So this
shame and embarrassment is very important, not just important in practice, and is also in Dharma practice is also important in the society as well. So because if you have these good mental factors, then others will have a good regard, will have regard you as a good person, and instead, then they will regard you as, on the contrary, then they will regard you as a bad person if you do not have it right. So then you should have this shame and embarrassment, and then with these good mental factors, then you should check your own actions and then engage in activities. So you should engage in activities by checking your actions. By checking your actions with shame and embarrassment, then this is what we call a practice.
근데 소소 저보 저모지기 내가 뜻이 내가 된 와서 매바다 체내가 차오래 말해야 해서 이가서 기세 시기에 지나 야고요 와서다 뭐 회동으로 와 내가 지제 니 샤워를 주는 건데 된 와서 매바다 체내가 가르쳐하는 이유상 이 레벨이나 이 상황에 차고로 와.
Yeah. So if our friend is about to do some bad actions or bad negativities, then you can kind of like advise or even ask the persons wouldn't you be ashamed of it if you were to do it? Then you can also say like this as well.
Yeah, thank you. That shall we just stop here? That is what not just
so.
Ishla, can I have one question?
Yeah, that
that's all. Yeah.
Ishla, the definition that Geshe-la give always start with by its own power. Why is it need to add this by its own power?
Geshe-la ini di Geshe-la kasaran di simjung den so ini di kasaran di susu gi sik di Dishi Gavika, any day round dog gets sick in the make a euro, any day patient of the round dog gets sick the Yomara, any day round dog in Nubia Gavin carry.
Those are channel your patient
book has a Kazan to Tanda Jambi, which had the oh, you need the round dog sick the she becomes in the carry.
No, more round dog.
先进起来嘛，对吧？
经济起来嘛，这个路况哪有我多起？
我多你啲比较难咯，样人多几次的有呗，比较显得。
比较是这样，比较是我出的了，有这里有的。
我出谈到你点名多啊？
有的，比较是我常说有的，
现在有的哇？
有的。
那说。Yeah. So even though you do not see the word by its own power here, and however in other texts, by its own power, the wording is there. So then the reason to say by its own power, to show that it is by the power of it, is by the to show that it is by its own power, without depending on the power of others. So that is why by its own power.
Others mean who? A person or other mental factors?
演技起来嘛，对吧？话显示的你啲米显大那样，那啲心中显大那。心中显大那。心中显啦，你啲嘛对米对吧？
写了那个过去就没办法。基本我啷个团？写的这个东西，我说没办法，这个问到，然后就是现在是么啊？看我写的那么几写的，一万真不写的，但你去厂上老板呢，这样子我咱这的话呢，你写的通老路也是吧
？Yeah. So others refers to other mental factors. So without depending on other or other mental factors means that they don't have is not how to say yeah. So it doesn't depends on they engage, they do something without being asked or without being moved by others. So it doesn't depend on other mental factors. That is what others refers to.
Gay me by the watching on the Mupa the shield. Gay me by say the gay me by telephone Jubala. Mupa de Ranto Jipe, gay me by the Junde Bata. Ramto Jipe, a gay me by the Lata, you see lead less more the sailors more.
Mupa rangi toki tawro.
Mupa rangi tojipe, a gay shower telapa, Junde Bata. Ye shower the lead less more, sailors more, the teacher. What that he gives it to be some down. Mubawa, or can you Mupa the gay shower to Palapachi Chigajua? Ye shower. But that gay me you, or rangi me gay Mupatella, Juala, Ranto di Setella, less in Roma. Ye less in Roma, say less in Roma, the teacher, this.
Yeah. So take lethargy for example. So lethargy is an obstacle to engaging in virtuous activities, right? Yeah. So it's obstacles to mind engaging in a virtuous object. So and this lethargy is obstacles, and then and by the power of lethargy. So by its own power. So means by the power of lethargy, it causes the body and mind become unserviceable. That one do not wish, one physically and mentally do not wish to engage in the virtuous object, do not wish to engage the virtuous object, and then that is a lethargy. So that is what it means by its own power. So other way of saying this is by the power of lethargy.
So Mupa to the Leudamazo, Shinira say, Telepen Mupa, Sanji Kutila, Sama, Telepe, going to Duguna, Mupa the Leudi, Mupa there on the subject, put the bonde, Tela bonde in the Bameva. Suputin, support the Piapo, that Lina, which you did also about the devil morning. What the deep bonde, support the lesson for one. What the beach hour.
So, and then by the power of lethargy, or by its own power, or by the power of lethargy. So, if as initially one wish to meditate on the holy, a statue, for example, a holy image. So one wish to meditate on the rise, then by the power of lethargy, or by its own power, then by its power, then one do not wish to continue the meditation. So one do not wish to continue the meditations, and even cause obstacle to the physical. Like for example, one sit according to the 7 meditative posture of Vairocana, right? And if lethargy arises, then one do not wish to sit in this posture. Yeah, so that is what it means by its own power, or by the power of lethargy. Then one's one body become heavy, and then one do not wish to continue the meditations. Yeah, then that is what it means by its own power, by the power of lethargy.
Are all the 51 mental factor by its own power as well?
Ini di sim jung ngaji na di changma di rang top gire.
But this is Gilly.
Yeah, the Kyoto Maro. Yeah, so not necessary.
Okay, that they shall be. Yeah,
let's all stop here.
Don't want to get the Latini. The Kanda, Chitin by Jabba and whatever. Is a jungle to the G and massage quality visiting the only show in Japan. But Jajula must hold on to 2 which come with Hindu to be one and a Chiachita. But then the Montu and Yanos of the page, the rock coming over chest, the pages in Jitsin, this in a civil tunnels of the Tibetan and Sanji from a needed to it. That Montu Yanos was set up a little doya. Yeah, and one young about that is about Robajin member Mishova. I've been to Robajin Kanina Kran's bed, Kanda Kustulan Gaji Pachi Manua. Telling the DG Christmas of a
So we conclude with dedication. We dedicate the roots of virtue accumulated especially through this Dharma discussion we dedicate it to the flourishing of Buddha Dharma and also to the happiness of all sentient beings. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to upholders of the Buddha's teaching, represented by His Hottiness the Dalai Lama. So may His Hottiness the Dalai Lama live beyond long, excellent health, and may his enlightened activities spread to all 10 directions, and may his holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to our beloved teacher, Kyabshe Lama Zopa Rinpoche. May Rinpoche live eons long, excellent health, and may his enlightened activities spread to all 10 directions, and holy wishes be accomplished instantaneously. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to world peace, and may happiness prevail the whole world, and may those who pass, and we also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who pass away, especially those who pass away in this pandemic and in wars and conflict. May their negativities accumulated since beginningless time be pacified immediately, and may they quickly achieve the state of enlightenment. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who are suffering, and especially those who are suffering in pandemic, in wars and conflict. May they quickly be free from their sufferings, and may their life be filled with excellent happiness. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to those who help others, for example, doctors, nurses, etc., or who help others financially. May they live long, and may they have excellent health, and may their life be free of unconducive conditions, and may their holy wishes be achieved instantaneously.
Sabikiwa di tendang doa kena kambe nang kiwa jizun lo sang tawa yi tembe nimbo rindu senje shuo janchu senjo rinpo je ma je pa na ki kyu ji yamba me ba yang gone gondo be wa shuo jambe ba we jambe ba we ji da ken ba nang kulo sambo de ang de shin de da kun gi che su da lo chi de da dam chi ra bu ngo tong yi da wa rinpo je ma je pa na ki kyu ji ke ba nyam ba me ba yang gone gondo be wa shuo rim yi da wa rinpo je ma je pa na ki kyu ji ma me ba yang gone gondo be wa shuo ju jam shin jam ge ke we den jing yong be we ge zu do bo ze chu sun gu we le men tu ju wa ta so du je ge do sha de shuo je sun du ju be la chi se se je kan jian jian dui gen chan na be mo den jing ge zo la so wa de so xian de de du shuo ji den kang de pen de ma du ba ka din zo be den jing ge zo la so wa de so du xie le du shuo ka de ra we ko we xin kan de pen na de wa ma li ju we ne qian re se wang den jing ge zo yi sha be si de pa du den du ji.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la. Thank you.
Thank you.